What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 5. First of all, I want to start off by saying Drew is messy. Drew is messy as hell. I guess this is what they're paying her for. Drew is so messy. And I feel like blame is put on the wrong person when it should have been put on Drew, but I will get there when I get there. So we are in New York City. This is their first night in New York City. We are still at the dinner. We are at the part of the dinner where Sheree was showing the text messages from Anthony telling her that he thinks that Ralph, Drew's husband, is gay. So Drew and Ralph look at the text and, Ralph was like, that's not true. I'm not gay. So Sonia tells Drew that your real issue, it's not Sheree. Your real issue is Anthony, your assistant. He is being very, very messy. Y'all are paying him. He's working for y'all and he's going around spreading these rumors about y'all's marriage. So Drew apologizes to Sheree. Sheree accepts the apology. They kiss and they make up. Everything is wonderful with them. So Candy admits to being wrong about taking information that she got from Drew and passing it on to other people other than Sheree herself because the information was about Sheree. So Sheree was upset with Candy about spreading this rumor because this is what happened. Let me get into it. So Anthony told Drew that Sheree, when he worked for her, didn't pay him. Drew takes that information to Candy. Candy takes that information to Kenya. Kenya takes that information to Sheree. So when it gets to Sheree, Sheree's not mad at Kenya. Sheree's not mad at Drew, but she is upset with Candy because Sheree's like, me and you, we go way back. We're friends. We know each other. Why wouldn't you bring that information to me? Now, what should have happened was, I believe, even though Drew and Sheree are not close, I think that, well, number one, this is what really should have happened. Drew should not have repeated it to anybody, not to Candy, not to Sheree, not to anybody. So when her assistant Anthony came and told her, hey, I work for Sheree and she didn't pay me my money, then Drew, the adult thing to do, sweetheart, would have been to tell him, well, you need to go talk to Sheree about that. Hopefully I can work it out. That's what you should have done. Instead of taking information that you were not privy to, that you have no knowledge of, that you have no facts to back up anything with, instead of taking that information to Candy, and Candy was wrong for taking it to Kenya. Instead of all of that mess, Drew, you should have stopped. You should have nipped it in the bud right then and there. And you should have told your assistant, okay, that's between you and Sheree. Go handle that over there. That's got nothing to do with me. I pay you. Me and you were good. That's a you and Sheree problem. That's would have been the adult thing to do. And I think that Sheree should have acknowledged that. Drew, like, what the hell is your problem? He came to you with this information, and the first thing you do is you go spread it around. So I feel like Sheree's anger really should have been directed at Drew and not so much at Candy. But I understand how Sheree felt betrayed by Candy because they go way back. So moving on from there, Kenya gets a text from Mark because what happened was before, I guess, the dinner when they got to New York, Kenya's au pair went to go drop off the baby at Mark's place. So during dinner, she gets a text from Mark. Mark is telling her that he's been called into work or something, and so he can't keep Brooklyn, and Kenya has to come get her, which is an inconvenience to Kenya because I guess there's some distance between where she's at and where Mark lives. So she walks outside, I guess, to cool off or whatever, and it was Marlo that followed her out there to see what was wrong, to make sure she was okay, whatever. And then here comes Candy, with her little nosy self. And so Kenya tells them that, this is what he always does. It's always like this. And she says, that she can't deal with this anymore. And it's just not right. It's just not fair. And Candy tells her that she needs to pull back at some point. And Kenya says that she can't do that because, she doesn't want to interfere with the relationship between Mark and his daughter. And she wants to make sure that Mark and his daughter maintain their relationship. So what I would have done if I was Kenya and I dropped off my child to be with her father for however many hours or for however many days, and then he calls me a couple of minutes later talking about come get the baby because I got to go to work, I would have been like, you figure it out. You figure it out, because that's what I have to do. For tonight, or for the next couple of days, or the next couple of hours, you're a single dad. Just like I'm a single mom 100% of the time. Well, for the next, however long the baby was supposed to be with him, you're a single dad. So you got to figure it out. You got to call a babysitter, call your mother, call your sister, your auntie, whoever, to come watch the baby, because this is not fair. I cannot stop what I'm doing to go get the baby because you don't stop what you're doing to help me out. When something comes up for her, she can't call Mark and Mark come fly into Atlanta to help her out. She can't do that. She can't rely on him for that. So just like she's got to figure it out when an emergency pops up, if she's got to show up somewhere for work and there's no one to watch the baby, she's got to figure it out. So Mark takes the baby with you. He works in a restaurant. He's like the manager or owner of a restaurant or something. Well, take the damn baby with you. One of the waitresses can watch Brooklyn while you handle whatever you got to handle at the restaurant. That's what she should have done. But, she falls into his craziness and she has to go get the baby or whatever she had to do. So then after that, Sonya asks Sheree, we're back at the dinner table. Sonya asks Sheree if she's going to be able to see Tyrone. Sheree says something about he can't leave beyond 100 miles. Tyrone is in Philadelphia. They are currently in New York. So he can't leave his area. And wherever they're at in New York, it's like barely 100 miles, like a little bit under 100 miles, I think. But whatever, she says he can't come down to New York because of the whole distance limitation, because he's on parole. He has an ankle monitor. He has a lot going on. So then Marlo says to Candy, all of your erotica stuff, girl, you need to tone that down because it's getting way out of hand. It's making me very uncomfortable with all of your erotica talk and all this and that. So she tells Candy she needs to tone it down. Now, whenever Candy gets like that, when she's in her adult mood and she tries to push her products, whatever she's got, I think all that stuff that she tries to push on the women is probably part of her candy coated line. To me, she just doesn't come across as that type of a woman. She wants to come off like she's, this big time seductress and all this and that. And she's so sensual. And I just don't see that in Candy. The only person that needs to see that side of Candy is Todd. And if he sees it, that's all that matters. But I just don't see that in Candy at all. Whenever she acts like that, this dungeon mistress and all this other stuff, I just feel like she's just trying to play a role. This is not really who she is. Moving on. So now we're in New York City, day 2. Candy's meeting up with her play executives. They tell her, because, the whole point of them being in New York is to see Candy's play that she's producing called, I'll get to the title later. So she goes to meet up with her executives for the play to see how the play is doing as far as ticket sales. And they tell her that the ticket sales are doing really great. The numbers are going up. This is exactly what we want to see. And also the good thing about it is that it's bringing in people from other states, which is what New York wants to see. Because when you bring in people from other states, obviously Broadway is making money from the ticket sales. The people are also the out-of-staters, they have to go stay in a hotel, so the hotels are making money. They have to eat out, so the restaurants are making money. So this is like the whole purpose of Broadway, is to obviously present good shows, good theater productions, but also to bring in money for the damn city. So this is good. When you have a lot of people from other states coming in, it's a big win for the city of New York. So her play is doing fantastic. Sonya and Kenya, they're taking a walk. Sonya mentions to Kenya that her husband, Ross, is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. I didn't know that. Congratulations to Ross. Kenya talks about Mark gaslighting her. And my whole thing to Kenya, again, is if you know that he likes to gaslight you, then don't feed into it. Just ignore it. If you know this is how he is and he's doing this on purpose, just ignore it. What else can you do? Just ignore. Don't buy into it. Don't, stoop down to his level. Don't fall for the okie doke. Just ignore it. So then they talk about Drew's company, her Drop It With Drew company. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Sanya, she is really disturbed by Drew's company. And I don't know why Sonya decided to put all her focus and her energy on Drew's company. Who cares? If it's something shady, if it's something legit, it's not your problem. Did you invest in it or something? Like, why are you so worried and bothered by Drew's Drop It With Drew, whatever she's got going on? So they want to know, like, what is it exactly? What are the people actually paying for? And then they talk about how she's encouraging other people, her customers, her clients, whatever you want to call them, to lose weight. But she herself had surgery. She had a tummy tuck and she got all this work done on her body to look the way she does. But then she wants everybody else, to huff and puff and break out a sweat and nearly kill themselves with her program, Drop It with Drew. Kenya also says that she feels like she went a little bit too hard on Ralph at the dinner, because at dinner, Kenya confronted Ralph when he talked a certain way to Drew. Kenya felt like he was, talking to her in a mean way, and it triggered her because it reminded her of how Mark talks to her. So she kind of reacted from that, not necessarily from Ralph, but from, her own PTSD with dealing with Mark. So she tells Sonia that she's gonna have to like sit down with Ralph and give him like a really genuine apology for going after him, because it really wasn't about Ralph. Moving on from there. So Candy and Sheree, they are FaceTiming each other, and it's very questionable if Tyrone is going to show up to Philly. Is going to show up. Philly to New York is right below 100 miles. So she's telling Sheree, she's telling she's telling Candy that, she's not sure if Tyrone's going to show up, because it's like I think it was like 96 miles between Philly and New York City. So she tells Candy that Tyrone doesn't want to risk it because it's like right there at that cutoff mark. So he really doesn't want to risk it. So he may not even show up for her play. At dinner that night, they start talking about everybody, the whole group is there at dinner. I think it was was it after the play? I don't know. So everybody's at dinner and they start asking, the question comes up like, who is the most famous person that you've ever dated, or the most famous person that ever flirted with you or gave you attention or something like that. So Marlo and Jazzy Faye actually dated, I think. And I find that really hard to believe. Marlo's taste in men is very questionable. Now, the reason why I say this is not because there's anything wrong with Jazzy Faye. It's because Marlo carries herself in such a way that she thinks that she's like the best of the best, and she's just, got it going on. You would think that she would date men who are of a certain caliber. Like she would date men who have a lot of money, obviously, men who are, like the majority would consider your typically run-of-the-mill handsome man, stereotypical handsome kind of guy. So when we hear these rumors that she's dating octogenarians and she's dating, like I said, there's nothing wrong with Jazzy Faye, but you just wouldn't expect a woman like Marlo to be with a guy like Jazzy Faye. So I don't know if they were serious about that or if they were just joking about that. Candy said that she dated Gerald Levert. She had a full-on relationship with Gerald Levert. They showed a picture of them hugged up on each other. And then Drew says that the king of the NBA has sent her a drink. They went out a couple of times, that he would always listen to her music before his championship games. And he ended up winning these games. And so she was like, he won those championship games, based off of my music, because he would always listen to my music right before he started playing. So my music helped him win. Rumor is that it's LeBron James. And because, people had put everything together, what was said on the show, and, whatever, the web sleuths had put it all together. And the rumor is that she was talking about LeBron James, even though LeBron James is married and has been married to his wife ever since he was practically like in college or high school or something. So I don't know. If they're not giving a name on the show, I can't really have nothing to say about that. So Marlo says that she also dated Gene Simmons, who I think is the lead singer of Kiss, of the rock and roll group Kiss. And I don't know if Kenya and Prince dated. I've known these people. At some point, I just was like, I don't know if they're joking or telling the truth or what the hell is going on. Once again, everybody asks Kenya about Tyrone, and once again, she's very vague about whether or not he's going to show up. Oh, this was all before the play. So now it's time for the play. Candy wants all the women to wear vibrating underwear. I don't want to get too much into this, but that's what she wants them to do. Some of them did, some of them didn't. Once again, Candy is trying to present herself. All I can think of is that maybe she's promoting these panties for her Candy Coated Nights toy line. That's the only thing that I can think of. I just can't buy Candy being this sensuous, I don't know what she's trying to portray. Sex goddess. I don't know what it is. There's just something about Candy that's like, she's just like one of the homies. I just don't really see her like that. I mean, I see Marlo like that. I see maybe all the women like that, except for Candy. I don't know why. I just can't see Candy like the way she's trying to present herself. So, I'm not going to talk about that. It's just a waste of time. So, everybody goes to see the play, which is Thoughts of a Colored Man. They all liked it. From what they said, it made it interesting, even like I would have liked to seen it too. So it's about 7 different black men who represent 7 different emotions, and so you can kind of see black men from different perspectives. That sounds extremely interesting to me. I'm like really interested in this play. Everybody liked it. Kenya said that the play was about what a black man could be and what they should be. And that, the black man was very well represented in this play. So it was really good. So now they all go to some kind of a lounge. And in this lounge, they're all there. The guys are there. The girls are there. And I think this is when, before everybody showed up, first it was just Kenya, Marlo, and Sheree. It was just those 3. So they started talking about Drew's company, Drop It with Drew. And they're basically making fun of it. Like it's some type of a scam. It's some kind of a, fake business. They speculate that it's an MLM. So they're just, talking crap about Drew's business. Marlo goes online to try to find the website. And evidently the website had crashed or something because nothing came up. So they're making fun of that. And then everybody else comes in. All the guys come in. And then Kenya takes this opportunity to apologize to Ralph. And it was a very sincere and genuine apology. She told him exactly what was going on. She says, "I'm so sorry that I came at you like that. But the way I heard you talk to your wife, it just kind of triggered something in me with what I was going through with my ex-husband. So it had nothing to do with you. I took my anger out or my frustrations out on you, and I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry." And Ralph was very appreciative of the apology, and he accepted her apology. I love it when people who have been beefing or people who have had issues with each other apologize and they all agree to make up and the apologies are accepted. I absolutely love it. I just love it so much. It makes me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. So then the men leave. And then this is where, to me, Sonya got really weird. Sonya then wants to address Drew. And she says to Drew, when I'm down with you, I'm down with you. But right now, Drew, I cannot be down with you because I've got some unresolved issues with you. So she says, I had a real issue with you putting your hands in Sheree's face at the birthday party for Brooklyn. And I was like, why would you have an issue with that? That had nothing to do with you. She wasn't putting her hands. Sheree's not even talking about it. Why are you talking about it? And trust and believe, Sheree could have handled herself very, very well if, Drew got out of hand. So why is it bothering you so much? I mean, you're losing sleep over this when Drew was all like this in Sheree's face. This was keeping you up late at night. And then she says that she also has an issue with Drew's business as far as like, what is this business all about? What do you do? And so Drew starts explaining her business and she's like going on and on and on and on and on. But it's still really not clear. So Sheree asks, if your program is working, then why did you get lipo? If your program is like guaranteeing weight loss and people can just drop the pounds just like that, you're guaranteeing like 25 pounds in 30 days or whatever the hell it is. Why don't you just do your own program instead of getting lipo? Well, Drew says that she didn't get lipo for losing weight. She got lipo for a hernia. She had a hernia. And so she had to have liposuction or a tummy tuck for her hernia. And I'm thinking, why couldn't they just remove the hernia? Anyways, so Drew pulls up her phone. She shows her website. I don't know what website Marlo was on, but evidently according to Drew and according to her phone, her website is up and running. It hasn't crashed. It's there, but nobody was interested by this point. Tyrone then calls Sheree. So Sheree got really excited. So I guess they're making arrangements for her to go to Philly. Instead of him coming to New York, she's going to go to Philadelphia to go meet her man Tyrone. So she's on her way. I think it's the next day. She's on her way to Philadelphia to see Tyrone. So as she's approaching the city of Philly, she calls Tyrone to let him know that she's, approaching the destination. And she arrives in Philadelphia at 1:30 p.m. She calls him to let him know that she's arrived. No answer. So she goes to this little cafe and she decides to sit outside instead of sitting inside. And it's cold enough outside that they have to put a warmer, a lamp warmer, I don't know what they call it, like a heater thing out there to keep the customers warm who choose to sit outside. So she's freezing. She had taken her coat off and it was so cold, even with the lamp heater or the lamp warmer there, it was so cold that she had to put her jacket and her scarf all back on because it was cold. It was cold out there. And I'm not trying to understand, like, Sheree, why don't you just go sit inside and wait for him? I'm pretty sure when he approaches the restaurant, if he's going to show up, he's going to go look for you inside. So why are you sitting out there? Nobody else was sitting outside. It was just only Sheree. Like, why are you putting yourself through this? Just go sit inside where it's a little bit warmer. But she didn't want to do that. So she keeps calling. He's not answering. The phone's busy, so on and so forth. In her confessional, she says that Tyrone she says she thought that he probably had a bad connection. At this point, she's been waiting an hour and 34 minutes. She calls her daughter. She asks her daughter, well, what does it mean when you call someone and the phone does ABCD? The daughter's like, well, that looks like you're blocked. And so then all of a sudden the producers show up and they tell Sheree that there's something wrong, something went down. They talk to his attorney. His attorney said that he cannot make it. And I'm like, cannot make it where? He's in Philadelphia. She's in Philadelphia. Where is he trying to go? Like, he can't make it to a cafe nearby. And so the lawyer tells him that it's going to be a violation if he shows up at this restaurant to meet Sheree. I don't understand. Like, he can't go anywhere. He can't leave his house at all because the woman is in Philadelphia. So Sheree calls Kenya to vent. She talks about how she's been waiting 2 hours for this man. He never showed up. She can't even get in touch with him by phone. She's been calling. She's been texting. No response. And Kenya is very sympathetic. And Kenya tries to, make her feel better. And then Sheree says, I just spoke to him this morning and he didn't say anything about the possibility of him not being able to come. And so she starts crying. And, Kenya is trying to console her. And Kenya says, what you got to do, Sheree, you got to see this as strike one. This man is trying to tell you something without telling you something. So you need to pay attention to these damn signs. And Sheree is like, well, no, this is more like strike 50. Girl, how can it be strike 50? How can a man who was incarcerated for the majority of your relationship have a strike 50 or a strike 3 or a strike 4? What could he possibly have been doing from prison to piss you off? Unless he pissed you off a whole bunch of times since he's been released. In that little tiny short window that he's been released, he's been pissing you off a whole bunch. And you're still going to be sitting out there in the damn cold, freezing your butt off, waiting for this man to show up. When you could have been inside that damn restaurant where it was nice, warm, and toasty. So she talks about how she put her whole entire romantic life on hold for him. Girl, that was your choice. That was your choice that you did that. Okay, you didn't have to do that. That was your choice, completely your choice, that you wanted to put your life on hold waiting for this man to be released. This man is released. It's going to be the first time that you've seen him. Well, she says that she sees him all the time in Philly. So I guess, I don't know how long this man's been out, but I guess they've been seeing each other a couple of times, or I don't know how many times since he's been released, because she did talk about how she's been to Philly to visit him. I don't know. Sheree, you're a woman of a certain caliber as well. And I just don't see you dating someone. Not that people who are ex-convicts can't be with certain type of women, but we got to call a thing a thing. Okay, let's stop playing games. You got to call a thing a thing. You just would not expect a woman like Sheree, who holds herself a certain way, to be waiting for someone who is in prison. you just don't expect that. She's too attractive, she's too intelligent, she's got too much going for herself to be waiting for someone to be released from jail. This is someone who should be dating, a man who has a really good job, has a really good career, a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or something like that. Like, what are you doing? Waiting for some, it just didn't make any sense to me. It made no sense to me. But these are the decisions that she's made, and she made this bed. Now she's got to lay in it. And that is the episode. That was the end of the episode. And yeah, so let's see what happens in episode 6. Thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. And if you like this content, subscribe. If you don't worry about it. But thank you for stopping by anyway. And I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.